what I will do is to briefly take you through three issues. The one is the information society knowledge economy context for skilling our people. One or two slides on challenges. And then our e-skilling activities in South Africa, the plan and what we're implementing. Now, we also have a very bold vision in South Africa. Government published 2 months or so ago the National Development Plan. And within that plan, it says that by 2030, ICT will underpin the development of a dynamic and connected information society and a vibrant knowledge economy that is inclusive and prosperous. And then it also says that the human development on which this is premised will have created an e-literate public society able to take advantage of technological advances and drive the demand for services. Now that's a mouthful, and we have to sit down and say, but how do we unpack that in order to prepare our country for this knowledge economy and to get our people e-literate within the next 18 years. Now this is the context within which we have to build this information society knowledge economy. The first slide there is just indicating that we've come a long way from the agrarian age to what we call today the information age, knowledge economy, knowledge society, information society, network society, many names for it. At the bottom is actually that ICTs are very important in building this new society. We talk about e-commerce and e-education and e-learning and e-health and e-agriculture and all the e-things. We need e-skills in order to deal with these new issues facing our country and our economy. Now we talk about e-world in some other areas. In our world, people start talking about the U-world, the ubiquitous world, and that is a step further away from what we're trying to do in South Africa, and I think in many of our African countries. And just to quote a statistic or two, what we're facing actually is what the research indicated recently, what happened in France. Over the past 15 years, the internet destroyed 500,000 jobs. The internet created over that same period 1.2 million new jobs. So we will lose jobs, but we will have to create new jobs. And what will those jobs be? If we think today what the economy and the world will be like in 2030, we will have to proactively start thinking about how we skill our people. How do we start skilling our grade ones that will in 18 years look for a job? And what kind of jobs will be available? Also, we live in a world of bandwidth. You can see there the gap is increasing. And we live in a world of mobility. This is the world now. What will the world be in 30 years' time, and how do we respond to that in a very serious way? If we say building the information society, knowledge economy, we sometimes only think about the infrastructure, the technology. We spend a lot of time thinking about that, a lot of time investing in infrastructure. But we don't think a lot about the services to be built onto that, or the institutions that will have to change the way they manage, whether it's a government department or a corporate. And we forget sometimes that we deal with people in the end. And it's about, no longer so much about a digital divide. We can give every person a smartphone. The thing is how to use it and what to use it for, and what kind of skills do we need to deal with technology. And the problem is that we more and more not only creating a digital divide, or it is there, we're also creating a knowledge divide. And that is a serious problem, because those with technology has access to knowledge and information. And if we don't make sure that together with technology, we ensure that we give people access. Our institutions must change. Do we still have to think of university in a way that we're thinking about universities or schools or FET colleges? How do we have to think about new institutions, about new services that people can access through using the infrastructure that we're giving them? Just a slide also to indicate how we consider skilling people within the ICT environment is skilling them for the future. The World Economic Forum and the International Telecommunications Union brought up two reports last year and this year. And where they're talking about the enabling environment, the drivers for a knowledge economy, they talk about three elements that we must seriously consider. The one is technology and access. The other one is affordability, and then of course skills. So how do we ready our countries and our people for this knowledge economy? Now, you can't only deal with one or two. I mean, you can have the best infrastructure and broadband and undersea cables and pipes in the ground, but if it's not affordable, it doesn't mean a lot. Or you can have affordable infrastructure, but if you don't have the people to use that, you have a problem. So you have to deal with these things holistically. And then, of course, innovation, where you start delivering services and where you start getting people to use the infrastructure appropriately, whether they're individual, civil society, business, and government. So that is where we need to start applying our knowledge, and that is what innovation is the application of knowledge. So we don't just give people knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And then what is so important is that we must map our strategies government develop, or the outcomes envisaged by government strategies, to the skilling that we give people. In South Africa, we have cabinet-approved 12 outcomes. So within the eSkills Institute and eSkills space, we make sure that the way we skill people will respond and will be mapped to the outcomes, whether it's decent education or providing decent jobs or deal with mobile or e-health. We need to ensure that we skill people appropriately so that we can address the needs of society and the economy. Now, the growth of the knowledge economy, that is very clear where we started with our traditional industries, moving towards knowledge-intensive industries, and really now that we have to skill our people for knowledge industries. Of course, knowledge and ICTs are cutting across, but how do we skill millions of people for the knowledge economy of 2030 and beyond? And what kind of skills do we give them? Or are we still going to skill people for the industrial age? Or are we still going to skill people for the economies that we know? So this is just to indicate that knowledge has become a main source with capital, with labor, and land. So going into the future, in the knowledge age, we have to make sure that we focus our skilling on the knowledge dimension. The challenge facing South Africa, fourfold. The infrastructure, we have good infrastructure, but sometimes very untargeted, unstructured, and uncoordinated. Our education system, according also to the Green Paper, we just don't deliver the necessary skills for the ICT sector. There is a mismatch, and we acknowledge that. And how do we deal with that mismatch in terms of e-skilling for a knowledge economy? The education does not produce the required skill for advancing South Africa's knowledge economy. I've indicated perhaps another statistic is that by 2014, 2 years from now, in Europe, over 90% of jobs that will be available will require e-skilled workers. Now, e-skills are not only for people going into the ICT sector. It's across. It's ubiquitous. And we need to skill our people for that world that is facing us in the immediate term. And then, of course, many things are happening in the country around skilling, around infrastructure, deployment, but uncoordinated. And I think the eSkills Institute would like to play that facilitator role, and that is within the context of the Department of Communications. One of its strategic goals is to provide and to build an inclusive knowledge economy and information society. And the eSkills Institute would like to play that national catalytic collaborator role, facilitator and change agent for developing eSkills capacity in the country, and doing the necessary research in order to get us there. This is a very busy slide, but don't worry to read it. What we're trying to do here is, in terms of our offerings, you see there's the orange area there, indicating that we have a national office, a national presence, and then we have what we call different knowledge production hubs. In the old world, we would have talked about faculties that are in the different provinces. We have 5 or 6 at the moment, and each of them focus on one specific focus area. For example, in the Western Cape, we focus on e-inclusion and social innovation. For example, in Limpopo, we are about to focus on e-health and m-health. All these things mapped to our medium-term strategic framework of the country. And then we deal with, and I talk about this now, is dealing with skills in different categories. We have to build an information society and a knowledge society. So it's not only about getting people degrees. It's much more than that. So with all of this in mind, it is clear that we can't do it alone. There's no way that we can build a new society with one institution. So collaboration, building networks are very, very important. We have to build networks and collaborative programs right across. So we have developed already an extensive network with government departments, with international funding agencies, like we're working closely with the UNDP, with ITU, with UNCTAD. We build collaboration with FET colleges. We're offering and building the skills of lecturers at FET colleges, other government state-owned enterprises like Telkom, USASA, and so on, with business and big companies coming to the party in a very good way. And of course, we work with other countries in the world, where we benchmark ourselves, where we share information, where we share what we're doing. And I think there's a lot of potential there. And this is the delivery model that I've mentioned the knowledge production hubs in the different provinces. We will have one in each province. And each hub will have its own network that it will develop per province, going right into communities. So that the issue is, how do we massify the e-skilling of people? How do we get our e-skills and e-skilling programs right down into the deepest rural area, so that we can prepare total society for the world that is on our doorstep. Now, in order to do that, we have just completed a proof of concept to deliver training in a virtual environment as well. So it will be a blended organization. So we already developed a curriculum that will be blended and can be offered online and face-to-face, in order to also reach out to more people. We don't have the time, to really skill our people face-to-face, if we talk about 18 years from now. Now, the challenge is, to conclude, is that if we want to, get people, 50 million people in South Africa, illiterate by 2030, we have a major job on our hands. And if we want to, and we did some rough calculations, that in order to get to that point, we need to impact 5 million people or 10 million people over the next 5 years in different categories. For example, we have to deal with our thought leaders, e-business leaders, people that will be able, our managers, our government DGs, our politicians, to understand what it is, how this new internet world will impact on their organizations. So that is a major initiative in collaboration with universities, in collaboration with other role players. We can't do it alone, and that is where we need to talk if we want to impact nationally. Creative industries, ICT sectors, how do we deliver to the ICT sector the people that the sector needs? We deal with a mismatch, underskilled people. We know that many graduates in our country are unemployed because they don't have the appropriate skills to work in a knowledge economy environment. And then also the users across sectors, government, health, and so on. So again, the emphasis is not ICT skilling for the ICT sector. We need to skill across. The nurses, the health workers in communities, there are all sorts of technologies available, and what to do with it, we need to skill people appropriately. And then fourthly, our communities, our citizens, our unemployed, and I think Fairouz indicated how many people are sitting there with qualifications, unemployed, the physically disabled, our youth. So if we don't skill them now for the immediate future and for 2030, those people will be unemployed forever. So we need upskilling, we need reskilling. And not only new people, we need to upskill and reskill people currently in the employ of agencies. So there's a massive work. We need a national, serious intervention, in fact, an African intervention in getting our people to the next level if we need to respond to the demands of the knowledge economy. Thank you.